Into the final chapter of this great story we go. Can India draw level and maintain their run of not having lost a test series against England since 2018? It's time to look ahead to the fifth and final test of the Anderson Tendulkar Trophy. Welcome to ESPN Cricinfo Matchday, where we are joined by Sanjay Manjrekar. Sanjay, thank you for your time. One final
Thank
time
you.
this great test summer. 20 out of 20 days played and not a lot to split both these sides. Is this final chapter now as much a test of mental and physical resilience as it is a test of cricketing skills?
Yes, and I felt that in the last test as well. And somehow, India came through, especially their batters, KL Rahul still having those reserves. Jadeja has been phenomenal, and they have discovered another, all-rounder with some serious batting ability. So it's all looking good on the skills front. Yeah, mental reserves will be tested again. We saw signs with a couple of batters, but again, this series has been about the batters surprising us with the kind of potential that they've shown with regards to mental strength. And you might think that it would catch up with them, but who knows?
Yes, and of the five ever presents in this series, Jaiswal, Rahul, Gill, Jadeja, and Siraj, four of those are your top six batters, Sanjay. They now go into a test match knowing there is no Rishabh Pant, who has been India's best batter in this format. So just break down for us the challenge of getting up for it one more time and how crucial that will be to India's fortunes in this game.
I must also quickly mention about because this is such an old format. That in the past this was commonplace. This is what test batters did. In fact, we used to have six test match series before my time as well, and there would be batters who would turn up and play every test match. So it wasn't such a big deal then. Obviously, the world is changing, and we have to talk about mental toughness, mental strength, and we've all been blown away with the kind of depth that they've shown. So when I look at Jaiswal, the impression, this is only perception of a guy who's watched cricket, played a bit of cricket. I think Jaiswal might find it a little tough to get up and put in another performance. And if he does that, again, it will tell you something more about this already impressive young Indian opener. KL Rahul, I think, is in a zone, and I expect the same with him in the last test. I thought Shubman Gill, because he had those three failures, will be up for it yet again for number five. So India is fine with that. Jadeja, I think, has, in fact, it seems like this is the only way he can bat now, which is trust his defense and play for time. So more of the same from Jadeja. Siraj, I'm a little worried because you'll see the same kind of application spirit, but obviously wicket taking balls, or if the pitch is flat, something that you wouldn't expect as much from Siraj.
So let's go into the bowlers because the batters are doing their job. Yes, this has been flatter conditions, but India have crossed 350 in seven out of eight innings this series, which is the most for any team ever in a men's test series. But now the bowling, confirmation that there will be no Jasprit Bumrah. His series is done. Had those 33 overs he bowled in Manchester, looked tired. We also had Anshul Kamboj, who looked flat on test debut. So let's go into the first part of this conversation. Who are your three frontline pacers for this test?
In an ideal world, you would have loved to rest Mohammad Siraj because, however good he is and however keen he is to bowl, you just won't get the kind of wicket-taking balls that you want to go through the defense of a batter. But Siraj has to play. India doesn't have a choice. And you're right, Anshul Kamboj, it's a little yeah, harsh, but only I don't see him playing the second test only because of how he looked rather than his returns. Akashdeep, even if he plays, will be a question mark whether he'll be able to replicate what he did earlier in the series. So I would think Akashdeep, even if he's 80-90% fit, or how much of in his bowling, how much potency it will carry, because we've seen that he puts in one good performance, and in the very next match, the potency is not the same, but you have no choice but to play Akashdeep. Now, when it is, a close call between Prasidh Krishna and Arshdeep, I'd like to go Arshdeep. We've seen enough of Prasidh Krishna. And when I've maintained that when the selection is not going to be a game changer, might as well, invest in somebody who might give you long-term returns. And that's where I'd like to go with Arshdeep.
All right, so that's the three frontline pacers. But now to perhaps the more imperative bowling call. Surely Kuldeep Yadav for Shardul Thakur after everything we've seen and discussed multiple times, and also the factor of Jadeja and Washington's batting form. Surely that inspires enough confidence to be happy with batting till number seven.
Yes, and sometimes you might think you're getting a little carried away with the batting form of batters, because who would have thought before the series that Washi could be a possible number five in a test match? Actually chosen as a number five, and Jadeja as the number six, almost batting like a pure batter. But India will have to start trusting their batting lineup, despite Rishabh Pant not being a part of it. And Kuldeep Yadav will have to come back. There have been so many moments in the series where you imagine Kuldeep Yadav being part of the Indian bowling attack, and we've talked about how the moments where India could make a difference and win a game weren't seized, and that's where Kuldeep Yadav would have been really handy. So he comes in, and Shardul Thakur sits out. But here's what I'm hearing. You might see Shardul Thakur play again, and this is coming from people who know the Indian coach well. So we'll have to wait and see. But for me, it's a no-brainer.
What does it tell you if India persists with that move? I mean, I know it may have started as a percentage option, as a hedging of bet option, but is there a thin line between being defensive and being negative? And is that line being crossed?
Or whoever is will never know who's actually making the big calls when picking the playing 11, whether it's the captain or it's the coach or the chairman. The selectors also has an important say, but we have to maybe say Gautam Gambhir could be the one behind the strongest voice in picking the playing 11, because we saw the same kind of flavor in Australia. And sometimes what happens is when a selection backfires, you want to keep playing that player just to prove everyone wrong. I've never agreed with this approach of picking somebody for the second skill. If Shardul Thakur plays again, you would think that maybe they're just hoping that, like Washington Sundar, he puts in a performance, and then the backing of Shardul Thakur is vindicated. It's unfortunate if Kuldeep Yadav doesn't play. I think he will still play, however reliable my sources. But I'll also say this, it's incredible that India is at this stage in the series. And it's thanks to Indian batters, and the bowling has been good on occasions. And they have done this despite some of the poorest playing 11 selections I've seen in a long, long time.
Hmm. So let's see if they can manage to win despite tactics that have been questioned from the outside. If they do that, it'll be only India's third win at the Oval in 16 attempts. They did lose the last time they played here, which was the World Test Championship final against Australia 2 years ago, but they did beat England the last time India and England met here in 2021. Let's see how it plays out. Sanjay Manjrekar, thank you so much for your time.